Yeah, I think there is a real, people obviously are lots of people who just see this as like a very sad family situation. I think will be really happy that there is a breakthrough on the personal level. But I do not underestimate the backlash that is going to come to this in the UK press. There are a lot of people who will see Harry as having ulterior motives, who will see Charles as being weak for having agreed to meet him. And one of those people, I'm afraid to say, is Prince William. Um,
Oh, C News family, grab a glass of wine, put your phone on silent, and brace yourself. Because what I'm about to lay out isn't just palace intrigue, it's a psychological horror story dressed up in royal regalia. The British monarchy, that crumbling relic still pretending it's relevant, has served up yet another installment of its never-ending soap opera. And this one is pure theatre, dripping with jealousy, betrayal, and dysfunction so raw it makes the Red Wedding look like a church picnic. Let's set the stage. It's September 2025, the air's got that early autumn bite, and Prince Harry, yes, the so-called spare who's somehow turned into the only adult in the family, hops across the Atlantic from sunny California. He's not here for Netflix, he's not here to upstage anyone, he's here for one thing, to see his father before time runs out. King Charles, frail and gaunt, is fighting cancer like it's a duel with fate, and Harry, ever the bridge builder, just wants to make peace before it's too late. He wants Archie and Lilibet to know their grandfather as something other than a framed photograph or a tabloid headline. Simple mission, right? A few hugs, maybe a shared laugh, a family photo to prove the Windsors aren't completely dead inside. But this is the royal family we're talking about. An institution so allergic to authenticity, it breaks out in hives at the mere mention of emotional honesty. Instead of a quiet reunion, we get a PR nightmare orchestrated with military precision. The moment Harry's private jet wheels kiss the tarmac, the leaks start gushing like a busted fire hydrant. Details that only a handful of people could possibly know. The exact time of Harry's arrival, the gifts he brought, even the fact that he leaned in for a peck on the cheek, somehow find their way into the headlines before Harry's even unpacked his toothbrush. And that, dear C News, is where we zero in on the real villain of this melodrama, Prince William, the heir, the golden boy who's been polished and preened into the perfect future king, at least on paper. In reality, he's a ticking time bomb of resentment, a man whose envy is so transparent you can practically see it pulsing through his temples. Let's not mince words here. These leaks aren't accidents. They're not coincidences. They are deliberate, calculated acts of sabotage designed to humiliate Harry and keep him in his place. You can practically see the puppet strings. William, hunched over in some Kensington Palace war room, barking orders to his favourite stenographer at the Times, Matt Wilkinson. Wilkinson doesn't report on the Windsors. He stenographs whatever William's camp whispers into his ear. And what did we get this time? A blow-by-blow of what was supposed to be a private reunion, complete with syrupy details about gifts exchanged and kisses shared, as though anyone outside the palace gates needs to know that Harry brought his dad a jar of jam and gave him a polite hug. These leaks aren't just invasions of privacy, they're power plays, designed to turn a human moment into tabloid fodder. And let's talk about the actual visit. Harry arrives ready to sit down, have tea, maybe cake, maybe just breathe the same air as his father, without a secretary lurking in the corner. But before he can even take off his jacket, the courtiers swoop in like vultures. 5 minutes, they say. 5 measly minutes with his father, who is literally staring down mortality. Harry suggests a little more time, maybe even a quick FaceTime with the kids so Charles can see their faces, hear their voices. But no. Apparently the king's schedule is more sacred than the Pope's, and there's simply no room for family bonding when there are ministers to brief and documents to sign. It's cold. It's robotic. It's soul-crushing. But don't be fooled. Charles isn't really calling the shots here. The man is a shadow of himself, barely holding it together. The real puppet master is William, who sees every second Harry spends at the palace as a threat to his throne in waiting. William can't stand the idea of Harry being cast as the prodigal son returning at a critical hour. It would ruin the narrative William's been crafting for years, that he's the steady hand, the savior of the monarchy, the only one keeping the whole rickety enterprise from collapsing. And here's where it gets deliciously dark. William isn't just jealous, he's terrified. Terrified that Harry's very existence is a reminder that the crown could have gone another way. A way that actually embraced compassion, modernity, and basic decency. Terrified that Harry, Meghan Sussex, and their 2 adorable kids represent the future the monarchy could have had if it weren't so entrenched in snobbery and spite. terrified that when history is written, Harry will be remembered as the brother who tried, while William will be remembered as the brother who burned it all down out of pure, unadulterated pettiness. The tantrum over tea and cake might sound trivial, but it's symbolic of something far uglier. It's about control. William doesn't want Harry to have even a crumb of reconciliation. He doesn't want Charles to have a moment of clarity where he says, you know what, maybe we should heal this family. Because honestly, a healed family means a redeemed Harry. And a redeemed Harry means William no longer gets to play the martyr, the put-upon heir, burdened with saving the monarchy from the rogue prince. What's worse is that William doesn't even seem to care how bad this makes the monarchy look. The public isn't stupid. They can see the game being played and the sympathy is shifting. Fast. Harry, who was once painted as the reckless rebel, now looks like the only Windsor with an ounce of emotional intelligence. Meanwhile, William comes across as a bitter man-child who would rather scorch the earth than share it with his brother. See News, this isn't just a family spat. This is an existential crisis for the monarchy. Charles is fading, the institution is wobbling, and instead of shoring up the future, the next king in line is waging a petty vendetta. He's leaking like a rusty faucet, feeding his favourite reporters half-truths and poison, and in the process, he's eroding what little credibility the crown has left. And where does Meghan Sussex fit into all this? Don't think for a second she isn't part of William's paranoia. She's the spectre that haunts him. The woman who dared to walk away, who dared to tell the truth, who dared to love Harry out loud in a way that made the Windsors look like androids. Every time Meghan's name trends, every time she lands a big deal or a major platform, William sees red. He sees the family's control slipping away, and he lashes out, by leaking, by briefing, by smearing. But here's the kicker, it's not working. If anything, it's backfiring. Poll after poll shows Harry and Meghan climbing in public esteem, while William's numbers stagnate or slide. The public likes authenticity, they like honesty, they like people who actually seem to give a damn about something other than protocol. And Harry, for all his flaws, gives a damn. That's why this reunion mattered to him. That's why he risked the humiliation of coming back, only to have the whole thing turned into tabloid chum. So, News family, where does that leave us? With a monarchy that looks less like a unifying symbol and more like a toxic workplace. With a future king who seems more interested in outmaneuvering his brother than actually preparing to lead. With a family so fractured they can't even share tea without it turning into a Cold War skirmish. The bottom line, the leaks are William's fingerprints all over the crime scene. He may not have typed the headlines, but he provided the ammunition. And for what? To make Harry look bad? To humiliate Meghan? To prove he's the alpha? All he's really proven is that he's petty, insecure and terrified of being outshone by the very brother he spent years trying to bury. And here's the tragic irony. In trying to destroy Harry, William is destroying himself. And maybe the monarchy right along with him. Because every leak, every whisper, every smear campaign just reinforces the image of a man who can't keep his own demons in check. A man who would rather leak his father's private moments to the press than risk looking like the smaller man. Harry may have walked away from the palace, but right now, he looks like the only one who still has a beating heart. And that, News, is the real scandal.